Today we are going to be making some Christmas cards. I'm going to show you a few different ways that you can make these and with different things. So stick around if you want to make some with me. Hello my lovely magpie wombles, and welcome back to a kooky corner of YouTube where we are in Christmas mode. Christmas, Yuletide, or whatever you want to call it, this is where it's at the minute. Well, it's where I'm at the minute. Making my Christmas cards for this year. I want to get them out before I am off on a travel, so I want to get them done and give them out to the people that I love. And I do limit the amount of Christmas cards I give out. I remember the days where you used to write cards for everybody, and it just was a lot. I used to buy the big boxes of cards and just write them out and send them to everybody that you know. When you were at school, you used to write them out for the whole of the class, and it was a lot. Today I only send cards to a few people, so it's a little easier because then I can devote some time to making some handmade cards, which is what I try and do every year. And it's a lot of fun, and it's, you know, they're going to people who are going to appreciate them. That's basically what I'm saying. Some, you know, the hordes of cards that must just get ripped up and thrown away. A lot less nowadays, I know, because people tend to not send so many or donate some money to charity, which is also a good thing as well. And you can still do that if you make some handmade cards. You can still donate a little bit to charity if that's what you want to do. So my Christmas cards this year are going to be based on a simple star, just a star template, which I use and cut out of some kind of a metal. Now I'm going to go through a few different options for you along the metal lines, but I try and make them individual as well, so my stars are all kind of individual star shapes. But with the same basic star. So this one was a little smaller. That was the first one that I did, and then I just decided I wanted to make them a little bit bigger. So let's have a little look through, and you can see there's a common tying feature to these, which is the background, and the background is made from the painty papers that we made way back in the summer. If you remember, these come in handy at this point in time. You will need maybe some tin snips. These are my giant tin snips that I have, and yeah, I do love these. They are a little bit OTT, but I'm loving them. They make life easy when you come to cutting out the bigger or heavier parts of this. Most of the metal I'm going to show you can be cut out with a pair of scissors, so it's not a whole deal. But this I use when I'm cutting out heavier bits, such as copper, thicker aluminium, whatever. These just and for another method that I'm going to show you in a moment. But first of all, you're going to have to decide on what kind of a card blank you're going to use. I've been using these long, tall ones, but I'll be showing you a little method with a square one as well in a minute. But these are the ones I've been using for the moment because it's been a good size. So first of all, the first little job you need to do is to get yourself some little strips of your painty papers. So these were the ones that we made. Just grab them over. These painty papers here. This one is not a painty paper. That's just one that's trying to pretend to be a painty paper. Get out, imposter, over there. These are the ones that we made back in the summer. We did some mark making on some of them. We left some others blank. It really is a whole pile of goodness to work with throughout the year once you've done that job. So what I do is I have various pieces in various sizes, and that's a little design element. I don't like them all to be the same size. It's completely up to you. You can just use one piece of painty paper in the background if that's what you wanted to do. But I quite like the colourful strip idea, and so that's what I'm going to show you. So what I do is I grab my ruler, which is handily gone on holiday. I have a better ruler than that. Ha! It has not gone on holiday. It is on my desk all along. So you decide on the size of strip that you want, and this is my chosen size. So using that as a guideline, I grab my ruler, just take it to the edge there and just rip it. I like the ripped edge versions. Some of you might prefer to cut with scissors, but I quite like ripping the edges up a little bit. So I've got this one here. So this is a thinner paper, and I'm just going to rip some up, and it's kind of therapeutic. If you get some edges, don't worry about them. You can just sort those out later, but like that one, I'm just going to take that off there. Perfect. So you get a whole host of your papers, ripped or cut to size, depending on what you prefer. I'm just going to move these out of the way. I'll show you these in a bit for different variations. You can see I've got a whole host of things out here. I've got an awl, I have got an embossing tool, I've got my old pair of scissors that I use for cutting out metal, I've got my big boy snips, I've got some sewing material. As I say, this can go whichever way you like. The most important thing I need at the minute is a card blank. So I've got my tall one here, and I'm just going to fold that over. It's got slight texture on one side, which I quite like. It's kind of like a watercolory texture, but it's not watercolor paper. I know, I've tried it. It's not that good for watercolor, but it is good for what I'm going to show you. The next thing you're going to need for this particular technique that I'm showing you is some double-sided tape. Now this double-sided tape, I will tell you, is 2 inches wide. And that's why I was cutting my pieces to that size, because this is the simple bit. So deciding on how long you want your strip to be, I think mine's going to be about there. Got my old scissors out, and I'm just going to snip off a bit, pop that up there out of the way. The hardest part of this is getting the position right. It really is that simple. It's just such a simple thing. I'm just adjusting you slightly there. So I'm going to stick it. I don't like my cards to be central. I like them to go up the top there and just gently smooth it down. It's probably not as central as I'd like, but I don't care. I'm just going to go with it. I try and center it a little bit more that way, but under the camera, I've gone a bit skew with, but we don't care. We're going to go with it. It's no fuss. Taking off the top layer. If you keep your paper from one side, that's a good guide for the size you need to cut your little painty bits as well. So just a little tip there. Okay, so what am I going to go for this time? I've got a few strips out. I'm liking this green one. I'm going to line that up there, and I'm going to lay it along there. One piece down. So far, so good. And I'm really loving this one. This is a favourite. It's like a really dark green with got an iridescent green paint on top. If you remember those from when we made them in the summer. That's going next. What I'm going to go with next? I am. Do I want to go big? Do I? Maybe not quite as big as that, so I'm going to take it down. So you can alter as you go along the size of your little strips, and I always save. Yeah, I like that one. That's going to go there. And the last piece is going to be one of these, but a bit smaller. Little bit off that. I'm going to take that edge off, I think. there, about there-ish. It helps not to stick yourself to your card. That's always a good tip. Don't stick yourself to the card. Not fun. So we have got a nice little collage going on here. Now, if you want to, you can add in some little mark making techniques if you want. I've got some Derwent drawing pencils here. I'm just adding in some little marks, extra marks, just because I fancy it. And you can also do that to tie up your pieces, tie them together. I've got another one somewhere. I like this dark green here. And I'm just going to add in some little circles. Just because. You can go absolutely to town with this, do whichever you want. I've also got this glitter pen here, and I'm just going to add in some little fake stitch marks with the glitter. Like so. Just because. You can go in different colours and do whatever you like. Like so. Now we come to the interesting part, which is our star. So I'm just going to put this to one side. So you can get embossing foil from Amazon quite easily. It's a little bit expensive, I find, but it does the job for sure if you're wanting something simple. So this is like the embossing foil you can get. This is probably a little thicker than usually comes, but this is the one I've been working with. It's more gold on one side than the other. Another thing you can use is copper, like actual copper. This is quite a thick copper. You could probably do something that's a little more pliable and a bit more embossable, but I have used this and I will show you what I made from that on one of my cards in a moment. So copper foil or actual copper. If you use actual copper, there's another technique that we can use. This is beautiful. It's great, it's perfect, it's kind of the right size, the right thickness for embossing, and it's a drinks can. And this is your little wombling moment of joy. I love this stuff, so I drink a fair amount of it. And I hated just putting them in the recycling bin because of all the beauteousness that can be made from these. So this is where your big boy snips come in, because what I do is I chop the top and bottom off the can. I use my awl to get some kind of a hole first. I go in and snip it with my scissors. This is my whole technique. And then I use these to chop the ends off. They are such a game changer. I've been trying to do it with these old scissors, but once I've got these are like the dream team. They are a little over the top. So am I. So we're a good pair. So template is what you'd need next. And make sure it fits onto your chosen piece of metal. And what I'm going to do now is, what I suggest is you put like a bouncy surface underneath. This is kind of felt, but it's not as bouncy as this boy here. This is when you'll need either a ballpoint pen will work, or an embossing pen. This one here. This is what I'm going to use here. And I am going to draw my shape on my old tin can. I'm so pleased that I'm actually using these this year, because I couldn't find my tin snips last year when I wanted to do this. An old pair of scissors works perfectly, I have to say. So we get our shape. shape achieved. And I'm going to cut it out with my old scissors. Because this is thin enough just to cut with scissors. You can see how easy that is. Look, that's the old tin. That's the embossing things. To practice on a piece if you want to make sure, you know, to get the depth, or if you want to try different sides. And then cut out your star. Just be careful of your fingers. Obviously, these are sharp edges. So just be aware of that when you're cutting into it. If you can get old cans that are in different colours as well. This one is a silver. I've got another tip for you in a moment if you wanted it to be in a colour. And it comes in the form of some Lumo colour pens, which are the overhead pens, the permanent overhead pens. And you can use those to colour in your metal. So you still get a metallic star, but then you can change it to whatever colour you want to do. Just save all those scraps on my template over there. I'm not going to save the tiny little bits. They can just go into recycling, but there's your star. It's so cute. And I'm going to take you a little closer. Just a little tad closer so that we can do some embossing. So I'm going to flip it over. And I'm going to add in some marks. I like spirals. This is my thing. I use this on a lot of my artwork. And just some lines going through like so. Just to add some interest in. When you turn it round, you can see they're all embossed onto your star. Now, you can change the colour of this. You could use some acrylic inks. That would also work on there as well. It will dry onto the metal. But I do recommend the overhead projector pens called Luma Colour. I think they're best Statler. I'm not sure. I kind of think they are. And they are great for just colouring in your pieces. I don't have one to hand at the minute to show you, but they are good for colouring up. So if you wanted a different colour star, I think they're kind of limited in the colours that you've got, but you could definitely have like a yellow, orange, green, blue, whatever you fancied. You can also get embossing foil in different colours. So there we have the star. Now I'm going to show you one of the pieces that I made that did a little bit of something different. So that was a similar star, but I've stitched into it, which is also something that you can do. So let me get my awl and we'll have a go at stabbing this one. So I've got my awl, and all I'm going to do, so funny I am, is just pop some holes. I'm actually going to do this on my felt mat, I think, rather than this one, because that's a bit too squidgy. It's good for embossing, but not so much for pushing holes into your little embossed shape. So what you do is you could leave it just like this if you wanted. You could do some shapes with the dots, the holes. You can actually go through the centre of your spiral if you wanted to. And it just gives it some texture and interest, which is what we all want in life, isn't it? So let's add those in. So you just keep going round and round and round. And once you have got to that point, I had a needle with some thread. And you can then go in from the back. Helps if you've not got a camera watching you when you're trying to do this starters. And oh yeah, make sure it doesn't fall out again. And you can stitch this like you would stitch any other thing. Piece of material. Just be a little bit more careful with your stitching, because obviously the sharp edge of the, I'm trying to find the hole, going from the back, there we go. No, that's not the hole. Where's the hole gone? There it is. Yeah, the sharp edges of the tin can just grate a bit on your thread, but just be careful. Get a nice thick thread and you can stitch into it. How cool is that? So you could do some stitch stars. And as I say, this is the one I'd stitch around the edge of, and that's gone on really nicely onto my background. Another thing that you can do if you have got some copper, some thin copper, and you want to get that beautiful coloration. Can you see the colours on that? This is the copper that I used, and that is it when it has had some heat applied to it. It's something that you need to be careful of when you're doing it. I did mine with this gas lighter-y do thing. You could also hold it, if you're very careful and you've got something to hold it with, over a gas flame on your cooker. Or you could use a candle. It might take a little bit longer, but you can get those beautiful rainbow colours. I don't know if you can see that. Can you see that? And that's a really nice way to get that onto your copper. I know you can also use a heat gun with that as well. It might have to be a fairly powerful one, and you'd have to have like a heat brick or something underneath it. But this is what I enjoy. I enjoy doing this when I'm making my cards for people. I like to think about the little things that give me pleasure as well, and hopefully this will give pleasure to someone else when they receive it. And that's the thought behind it. So here's the little star that I just made on our background there, and I am liking how it's looking. I want to add in some glitter because this is me we're talking about here. So I'm going to grab in some of this glitter paste here. You can use anything that you've got handy, and I just want to add in some little bits of glitz just to add some interest because I do love my glitter. There we go. A bit of glitter going on there. Put that to one side. These can be as complicated or as easy as you want. So I'm just wiping my fingers off of glitter there. Now, what I want to do now is to attach my star. So I've got this art glitter adhesive. This joyful stuff I actually got the idea from Susie Q, from Susie Q Makes. Check out her channel at the moment because she's doing some beautiful collages and stuff. Make sure I've got that glue on my thread as well. I'll probably put on way too much, but I want to make sure it sticks. You could use the foam sticks if you want this to stand out from your card, you know, the foam sticking stuff. I'm just going to leave that to dry. I'm going to kind of press it down a little bit, but then I'm going to leave that to dry. It will take a while to be properly dry. So I'm going to work around it gingerly and carefully because we are decorating at the moment. So let me grab my other things that I want just to finish this off with, and then we'll have a look at some of the other ones that I've made. So I've got these dimensional pens. I've had these for a while, used them quite a bit, and just want to make sure, always do this before you use them, just to make sure that it's running right. That one is, so just pop that over there for a minute, not put my fingers in it. I know what I'm like. My fingers always want to join in the journey. So whatever colours you want. I'm going with this contrasting orangey one just because I like it. And I'm adding some dots on to my piece. There's a little mark making extra. You can do whatever colour you like on yours. Gone with this orangey colour. You can also add that into your collage background if you wanted to. That is completely up to you. And what I always do with mine, add my signature because it was made by me. So I'm going to stick that on the bottom here in this light grey pen. Also has dots as well. So there you go, you've got your finished card. Let me take you back out again and you can see that. You can do this equally on a square card. I'll get one of those in a minute and we'll just do like a squarey one as well, just to show you what the difference is. But I think those are really nice. It's putting some time and effort into the cards that you're sending. So it's got, you know, it always has some meaning to it when you do that. I really am loving that coppery one just because I like all the little rainbow effects on it. That was a smaller one and I painted that with a paint pen. And then I etched back into it. So can you see all the little tiny marks on that? So that shows the silver underneath. That's another way you can go. That was just the gold embossing foil. And that was my tin can with the stitching around it. So, and lots of mark making. You can see I use the dimensional pen there as well on the actual collage. So these are really lovely to make. And if you haven't got any metal of any kind, you haven't got any cans that you can cut up or some snips and things, you can just do this out of card. You could make it out of a metallic card if that's what you've got. So that's another option that you can do this with. So I'm just going to put this off on one side and we'll have a go at doing the square one. So here I've got my square card, and instead of a strip of the double-sided tape, I've finangled it into a square shape by just cutting bits off. Let's make sure that's stuck down properly before I lift it off. And lift that bit off there. Again, making sure it's properly stuck down. So now instead of that long strip, we've got a square and we can start to play. So I'm going to use my ruler again to rip off shapes that I want to use. Instead of paper as well, another thought for you, you could use fabric. Why not? Just do it. Go and use some fabric. This works very well with the double-sided tape also. I'm just thinking of the size of that I need to cut off there. So that's another option. Going wacky and wayward with this one just because I can. That goes in there. Just gonna rip that bit off there. Got a bit of fluff in here. Not surprising, I've been using needle felting yarn, so it does get a little messy on my table. I think you probably appreciate that. Trying to find something of the right size. Ooh, I do love that. I'm going to trim some of that down. See, I've done it. I've used a bit of paper and put the dots on, transferred it over to my ruler because I knew it would happen. We all knew it would happen. And get that straight edge going down there. We all knew it was going to happen. It was just a case of when. are just in the way. We just trim them off. We trim them off, that's what we do. You could do this with a... I know what I need, which I can't find at the minute. So we're going to continue with the scissors just to trim that down a little bit, and I've just got a bit in the corner there. If you find you've got a tiny bit left over and it's just hanging over the edge, just use a bit of glue. You know, the sticky stuff. I'm going to put a bit under there. It does get messy, so just be aware. Bit of that glue under there, just cut that down. Perfect. So here is the square card. I've not properly stuck down that middle star yet. That's going to be a waiting stick, but this is the kind of effect you can get. I'm not going to put things over the top of this because, as I say, those bits are still wet and these bits also. But different effects you can get on different size cards, different colour cards. This is a craft card. I think it works really well with these nice bright colours on it. So go and have a go. Go and make yourself some Christmas cards. And if you do, don't forget to share them with me. The best place to share them is in my Facebook group. It's not my artist page. It is the Cool Kooky Creatures group that you're looking for. If you join there, you'll be able to share all your makes with everybody else who's in there as well. All the lovely people who are already in there, who are sharing what they've been making for this coming festive season or any other time really. And also you can join in with the postcards. You know, it's coming next year. We've got another set of postcards for next year, which I've been working on this week. So I have got my whole list for the postcards. Also got my list for Abstractuary, which takes place in February every year. It's going to be the 3rd year of it, which is something else you can join in with as well. So lots going on in the Facebook group, so pop along, join us, and you can share all your lovely makes there. If you've enjoyed this, don't forget to like and subscribe. I've been looking at my stats and about half of the people who watch my videos aren't subscribed. I'm not really that sad, but it would help if you do like what's going on in the channel and you aren't subscribed. Please subscribe, because it does make a difference to the algorithm of the algorithm gods here at YouTube, who decide what's worth watching and what isn't by the number of subscribers and the number of watchers. If you like it, leave me a little comment down at the bottom. What would you put on here? You could adapt this for other things. So Valentine's Day coming up, you can make a heart shape. You know, these are adaptable skills. Anyway, that's enough waffle from me for today. I hope you have enjoyed having a look at my Christmas card making for this year. These will be going out to special people, and I'm sure the ones that you make will also be appreciated by your loved ones. Bye for now.